by the school.
Do we need a All right, 6:30, please stand. Ask Council Member Rodell to lead us.
Give me 1 second, Senor.
Yes, sir.
Get to my right agenda. All right, let's pray. Heavenly Father, we gather here today in gratitude for the opportunity to serve our community. We ask for your guidance and wisdom as we discuss the matters that affect our city and its residents. May our decisions reflect justice, compassion, and commitment to the greater good that all of us have been asked to do by your Son, Jesus Christ. Help us work together harmoniously, embracing diverse perspectives, fostering unity in our community. Grant us the strength to face challenges with courage, integrity, and dignity, and the insight to seize opportunities for the benefit of all. We thank you for the blessings that this city has achieved. We thank you for the blessings we've yet to even observe. Please be with our residents that are suffering. Please be with our law enforcement officials. God bless America. Amen.
Amen. Good segue into our Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And be seated. All right, I call this regular city council meeting, May 24th. To order, 6:31 p.m. Roll call, please.
Burgess, absent. Higginbotham.
Here.
Martin.
Here.
Meyer.
Here.
Mosley.
Here.
O'Rourke.
Here.
Permenter.
Here.
Rodell.
Here.
We have a quorum. All right, first item on the agenda. Approval of minutes from May 27th.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, we've got some presentation. Tim, we've just got this report back and thought it'd be good for Tim to give you some updates.
I'm not used to being like towards the front.
I was about to say, Tim's supposed to go last.
No. All right, so this is a quick update on the state of the water industry 2025 and Water 2050 vision. This is actually published by the American Water Works, but it has significant communication between the Corps, local municipalities, water industry folks, vendors. So between September 23rd and November 1st of 2024, they released a survey. About 3,500 water professionals participated in it. There was several meetings prior to this where they gained a bunch of information. They asked us questions. Even some of the stormwater folks took part in it. And then they released the survey. So with that being said, the first time this was done was 1974, then 1990, and then 2014, and now your current 2024, 2025. One of the things I do like to note that they think the participation rate was pretty high because at the time it was also during a presidential election, which I think everybody knows had some slinging going on during it. So with this study, they launched what they call the Water 2050 Strategic Plan, which is where they want to be in 2050, or where Arkansas would like to be in 2050. So 64% of the water utilities in Arkansas participated, 19% were goods and services. That's like vendors who supply parts in the industry or maintenance or even some of the consultants. Your breakdown of job categories is there. You can see that most of them work directly within the industry, and then there's a section of engineers, but they didn't participate a whole lot, did they?
Boo, engineers, boo.
So some of the key takeaways. The industry optimism is actually slightly higher than it used to be. Now it's a 4.85 out of a total rating of 7 over 22 years. So it's not super up there, but it's gaining. Despite economic and political uncertainty, which right now in the maintenance world, the facility world, municipal water world, things are changing daily for us. I don't think it's any surprise that the number one concern is obviously financing capital improvements. I mean, every time we turn around, it's $100,000 here, millions of dollars there. So trying to figure out how to do that is quite the challenge, and doing it responsible. Surpassed source water protection infrastructure reform. Essentially, we're behind on updating our infrastructure as an industry. Inflation, rising costs, and uncertain federal funding impacts. That has certainly had an impact. We saw the American Rescue money, the infrastructure money was given, different tranches to different cities and counties. That increased how many projects we could do, which increased workload on engineering firms and increased workload on construction. So it had kind of a domino effect. For those who don't know, the industry median is 48 years old, and 10% are 24 and younger. We're actually pretty fortunate. We have a pretty good demographic that's under 24. And then 1/3 of the operators are expected to retire in 5 years. That's going to be a pretty big hit if we can't maintain our current employees and future employees. Top 10 industry issues, like I said, finance and capital improvements. It's always costing money. Infrastructure renewal and replacement. The best way to do that is when you put it in the ground, you got a maintenance plan, you know how long it's going to last, and you already started a plan for the future to replace it. Long-term water drinking supply. I think we've all seen from Saline Regional, we're looking at kind of, the industry in whole is looking at kind of going a regional way. We still have a very good relationship with CAW in the meantime. Probably won't break that off completely when it's all said and done either. Public understanding of water's value. This is all about communication, and I think we've done a better job recently than the past. Communication brings trust. Source water protection, that's kind of like the Watershed Protection Act that we get billed through CAW, and they take their lakes and lake and stuff like that. Financial stability. We've really leaned heavily on diversifying revenues, so it's just not strictly a rates thing. And then also with doing our master plans, it's no longer just getting a master plan and not picking it apart. We go through it and say, hey, 0 to 5, this looks, logical and reasonable. 5 to 10, and so on. And then the amount is always a lot, but it's easier to eat an elephant one bite at a time. So, workforce issues, like I said, the aging out of a large portion of the industry is it's gonna come to an impact on us, and then trying to recruit younger people in and maintain them for more than 2 or 3 years. I'll skip groundwater. Cybersecurity. So we have a current assessment that we did with the company for cybersecurity, and then we're also including it in our master plans. And then there is special funding mechanisms or reduced interest rates when you do include that into the project. So we're trying to do that as much as possible. Capital funding sources, like we were saying, the most common ways with rates, and they almost always increase. 41% of utilities feel fully able to cover costs through rates and fees, and that's great, but you still got to diversify. The use of grants, bond, and reserves. We do not use grants very often in water or wastewater because the city of Bryant does not qualify for them, so we have to go look for other means of hopefully low interest or combined projects to expand. SRF is state revolving funds. You guys don't know what those are. Sustainability and resilience. Again, that's going to come down to what we do as a city for the future, and also communicating with our residents of what we're spending money on and why we need to spend the money that way. Community engagement. Again, communication. When Mayor came in, that was one of his things. We spent the better part of last year probably every couple weeks doing a new video and trying to get them out there. We'd go out and talk to the public. We'd ask for surveys back. Finance and affordability, again, that's the rates, which we're currently under a rate study right now with project planning. But with that, you got to have some sort of emergency plan also in there. Oop, hit the button. Innovation and circular economy. So essentially what that is, we're going to want to minimize as much waste and pollution as we can, and then use products that we're getting their highest value for the longest time possible. That's not only going to be the quality of the product, but that's going to also be how we maintain our assets and how we take care of things. And then one, water governance. Again, it's going to go back to the regionalization of things. Sustainability and resilience. So for that, we have like our GIS, we have a replacement schedule. Again, considerations on material versus cost versus the life of the material. 40% of utilities report funded asset renewal projects. You guys know we have some funded. We've got the 1.5 million gallon tank that we're going to build over there by the school and get rid of the 1 million gallon tank. That's also going to include a new water main, and then we did the meter upgrade a couple years ago, and then there's plenty of in-house projects that Bryce and his team is going to take care of. Always natural hazards to worry about. That's kind of that graphic right there, what the East and West generally sees in the United States. Long-term water supply changes. So as you can see there's the Saline Regional Public Water Authority, which Mariah is our representative on that. It says only 45% feel very fully prepared to meet future water needs. Bryant's pretty good. Not only are we looking at Saline Regional, but CAW has been a very good partner to us also. We've introduced a very good relationship with them, which we've kept. And they even understand that we kind of need to move towards the regionalization. So they've been very supportive of that. Water loss control. So we really control our water loss basically through our metering. We have meters not only on the house side of things, but we have them on the booster stations and otherwhere in the city. So, and then there's always the how many gallons you pump versus how many gallons you sold. Bryant had the last report we had done, it was a 4% water loss, which the industry standard is 15%. So we're considerably better than what we were, or what the industry states. The watershed source protection, again, that's a fee that we pay to the feds, the state, or CAW to take care of. There's no option in that. And then 25.7% have drought contingency plans. We really don't suffer from a drought, so I was trying to think, our water system does not. So I was trying to think of some examples of, what may have happened during weather to cause an issue. Well, if you remember, a few years ago, we had the freezing weather. A CAW called us and said, hey, we need you to either stop pumping or pump at this level, or we got to come up with a schedule. So we did. We came up with a schedule with them where we weren't pumping at some times, and as we were pumping, we might be pumping much slower than we normally did, but nobody in the city noticed it. There was no loss of service. That's a big success. The Wilson plant for CAW just had significant upgrades, and if you weren't paying attention to social media or what CAW was putting out, they would have to shut their plant down for between 6 and 8 hours a day. We get our water from them. Because of pre-planning with Bryce and his crew, nobody saw a loss of service those days either. It is always a fear something will go wrong, but public engagement and trust. The We Are Bryant page, the videos, the mayor's memorandum, the spreadsheets that we keep up with, the extra work we do to give you guys the resolutions ahead of time and the description and stuff. That's all part of it. So we're trying to get the information out there. They have it ranked as number 4. I would think probably about 2 years ago it was number 1 when the metering system took a catastrophic dump. And I think we've pretty much crawled out of that hole and we're staying on top of it. And again, there's no ask a question, get an answer, and we don't like it, we work towards a solution. They do say that the shift is going to digital and social media, so 54%, which is a pretty good number, but we still always have to remind ourselves that just because some of us use it doesn't mean everybody does it. So we need to continue to use the newsletters, the bills, the regular news, newspaper, whatever it may be, just to make sure we're doing the best to get that information out there. Information and technology. So cybersecurity ranked number 8, 73% is very critically important. I believe it was in Pennsylvania earlier in the year, not this year, last year, their SCADA system was hijacked. It's happened to a couple others too. We have a SCADA system. It's basically what monitors our water system or lift stations and part of the treatment plant. So we need to take care of that. That all needs to be incorporated into long-term plans because, technology probably gets better every day faster than anything else in the world. So you don't want to go buy a product that you 2, 3, 4, 5 years later you have to completely replace. You want something you can continuously grow and upgrade. Like I mentioned, SCADAs. We have cameras all over the public works yard. We have them down at the treatment plant. They're at various other sites for assets for us around the city to keep watch over them. And then we have some flow and testing technology that we're looking into that will basically, when flow comes in, we'll be able to test it right then and there and get immediate results. You'll also see in the near future, there's a program you guys approved last year called AI Doppler. It's an AI system that a resident can call into. It's basically a call center. But what they're doing is they're developing heat maps for us, data collection. It's consumer driven. It gives us another way if there's a water leak that we can automatically basically geofence an area and send it out to all those people. Hey, you don't have water right now. We expected repair is this. But with that, it gives them the ability, if they choose, to communicate back to us. So as we can give them real-time updates. Water quality and emerging contaminants. So PFAS is a huge conversation right now, but it's really focusing on the water treatment side of things. So it's really not affecting us directly with the exception of if they pass down a whole bunch of rules and regulations that cause more testing, different treatments, it's going to cost money. Chances are that it gets passed down to the consumer at some point. In some other concerns, pathogens, microplastics, and then things like non-point source pollution, which I only bring up because we're talking about stormwater pretty heavy right now, and that is just stormwater carrying pollution to the water, which eventually gets back in to be treated for drinking water. So it's something to consider. Regulatory actions shaping utility investments. If you remember, about 3 years ago, the EPA said, hey, we're going to have this copper lead rule. It has to be done by 2024. 2024? 2024. And they said, we really don't know what you want to do or what we're going to have you do, but it has to be done by then. So then we'd start down a path and then it would be changed. And then we start down another path and then it would be changed. But the deadline never got longer. So we really worked that out again. We sourced a company that helped us and it was all digital. They basically took a bunch of it out based on build dates, and then we had to go out and physically go look and stuff. We still don't really know what's happening with that data. They have it. We got it in well beyond. We sent out our letters from the health department. But as far as replacements, we have no idea what they're going to require. So looking ahead, I know a lot of this overlaps, and I've said the same thing probably 15 times, but balancing affordability and sustainability is going to be key. And it's going to be done based off of the emphasis on proactive planning and regional solutions and that customer communication. Like I said, we're heavily going over the master plans, but not only the master plans, reviewing other projects we've done in the past, projects we're foreseeing in the future. You know, as development happens, we may have said, hey, we're going to do this, or this may have happened, and that changes our course, and that's okay. Again, utilities, they have to embrace technology and innovation. You know, we have an aging out workforce, like I mentioned. Some of them like to do things their way. The younger age force likes to come in and love technology. It's kind of going to be a blend of both, because you can't put everything on technology and never actually physically walk out there to check it out. But it's moving that way. Public trust, equity, and resilience will define the water future. So the best thing I say there is we need to keep the public up to date with what's going on. And we need to answer their questions, honestly. Like I said, with the meters, that was not a very fun time in my life, but I was not going to lie about it either. So, but I'm glad we're past it, but that's just an example. And then the CEO of AWWA, you know, that's his little quote up there that kind of hits home for, takes everything I just said and shoves it down into a sentence. Questions?
Tim, remind us, we got the water master plan done. Now we're working on the wastewater master plan. Both of those will be rate studies. So the next 6 months will be really big for the city of Bryant, and water sewer rates will be coming through the advisory to us. So kind of share a little bit of the timeline, what you're thinking is that wastewater plan.
So we're supposed to see the initial draft the 15th of next month. So, and that's when we'll take it. You know, we've seen bits and pieces. This will be the whole draft. We'll take it and we're really starting to scrutinize it and say, hey, this is what's suggested for plans. You know, in those drafts, it might be one problem but have 3 different solutions to it. So we got to hammer that down also. So 15th of July, if we get it to water sewer in August, but it'll likely be closer to September that you guys will officially see it also. And then that'll determine the rate study before the end of the year sometime.
Okay. So just so you guys know, that's going to, and again, I know we've said it, get tired of, I get told, quit saying it. Act 605, state law, we are bound by law to put rates in place that provide for the infrastructure that the third parties tell us that needs to happen for our city. I really appreciate Tim and his team vetting those third-party studies so that they take into account real-world people paying the bills. And I think they've done an excellent job of making sure by the time it gets to us and then eventually to the ratepayers, it's what needs to happen.
Yeah, the Act 605 is actually, the way it was scheduled actually just falls in line with the way we have to do rate studies by our ordinance anyways. After this, you know, we have to do an external every 3 years. Act 605 says every 5, so we'll have to say, do we want to stay external every 3 and have to do 1 2 years later, or do we want to go out 5? So.
Any other questions? Thanks, Tim.
Yeah.
All right, now we've got an appointment, Community Engagement Committee member, Ward 2. Carolyn Gefkin. She's been attending the meetings and has it about 6 months, very engaged. Any questions? If not, I'll have a motion.
Make a motion to appoint.
A motion?
Second.
Second? Couple seconds of
You can
it.
have it, Jeff.
All right, motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
I'd like to make a motion to add a resolution to the agenda for this evening.
okay.
Let's bring it up in planning and development, please.
Yes, sir.
We can add it as number 16.
Okay.
Chair, I might say that's a motion that requires a second and approval.
Second.
All right, so we got a motion to add a resolution that we're saying is number 16 to the agenda. A motion, a second, all in favor? Any opposed? All right, motion passes. All right. All right, public comments.
Such a large crowd tonight.
Yeah, seeing none.
We got our one supporter always. We got one public.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's a different, is what Rob just did different
It's
than
different from the Royal Lane.
actually?
No, that's what it is.
It is, okay.
That is,
Okay,
I
yes.
apologize, I was doing
No
it.
worries.
So,
I was like,
there's no surprise.
no, I just, it's all good. I was making.
Can we do a surprise one?
Everybody just make sure it gets on the agenda.
That's it.
Hey, we're all on the same page. That's what I was just checking. All right, new
That's
business.
it for this group to be on the same page and all my years doing this.
Finance.
Okay, the first one is the regular month ending May 31st report. Some highlights on that, sales tax revenue was 61K higher than this time last year, but still 78K below budget. However, I did get in today's sales tax, or this month's sales tax today, and it came in slightly above forecast this month, so that's good news.
Wait, say it again?
We got it in today for this month, which will be on our report next month.
Okay.
And it is above forecast for that one.
So what do you think, we're tracking about 3%?
Probably close enough.
Okay, and we budgeted for 2.5. So, anyway.
And then I did have an error on the mayor's memorandum. Instead of saying the street fund increased from 111 days to 149 days in cash, it said decreased. So it was an increase from 111 days to 149 days, which is what we were hoping, but that is a factor of the borrowing of the money for the capital purchases, so it will probably go back down a little bit, but hopefully hover around the 120 goal. Still got those cash reserve policies added on page 5 and 6, and I also added a page 8, and it has the grants that are at the very end of this agenda tonight. Rebecca and I worked hard on getting those on page 8. So if anybody has any questions on those, let me know. And then also, I did not bring budget adjustments tonight, but Troy from Streets had some, and I asked him if we could wait until next month. But he has the money, and he's going to go ahead and issue his POs and do what he needs to do. The money's there, he's getting it from Gov Deals. But he wanted me to let you guys know that he did bring it to me, and I did ask him if we could wait till next month. So, and I think that's all I had for the month ending May report. Does anybody have any questions?
The motion to approve?
Make the motion.
Got a motion?
Second.
And a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes.
Great, thank you. Okay, so the next one, let me just say that my whole department has been, like pulling this thing to the finish line with our team. We were literally working on it until about 15 minutes before this meeting. And Crystal's still in the office working on it right now. She's emailed me a draft. Really, really hopeful that so far, everything they've sent us, there's been no substantial changes between the draft that we sent to you guys for this. So if there's nothing of any materiality issues or anything, then, we may just send it to you guys and not, bring it to you again. So hopefully, that being said, we will be able to submit on time this year. I'm not going to go over all the ins and outs of the report tonight, but does anybody have any questions on it? 2024 looked pretty good. I can bring back a synopsis when we get the final, but I didn't get one prepared for tonight because literally I wasn't even sure if we'd be able to get it on the agenda to you guys because the auditors have to give us the okay to do that. But they did. So, any questions? Anything anybody wondered about?
So Joey, why do we need to approve the draft instead of the final?
We did this last year. The submission date for GFOA is June 30th. So I like to have you guys approve it before I submit it to GFOA. It's just basically kind of a,
So we're approving it as is?
Yes.
And if there's no exceptions, then it's fine, is what you're asking? Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
So, and I don't anticipate, like I said, I literally chased dollars through the whole thing today. So, I think the biggest difference that they had was $834. So, I'm hoping, they've still got it, but I don't anticipate anything major. I would hope they would have told me by now if they, so, but yeah.
Mr. Chair, motion to approve.
Got a motion,
Second.
a second, all in favor? Any opposed?
Great. Thank you, guys.
Motion passes. All right, we got a planning discussion. I think Colton and Ted have some info, and then Butch asked for some discussion. Rob
I didn't.
got some good.
Did not.
It was Butch.
Got stuck on that. So you're a lot bigger than me. I wouldn't step on you, sir.
So you guys are probably aware, we recently approved a site for construction of a solar array for the school for their benefit of reducing their energy costs. That one got shoehorned in. We really didn't have site requirements outlined in our code and ordinances for it. So we basically approved it with a conditional use permit, which Colton will talk more about that here in a minute. So we'd like to examine some specific site requirements that if this comes to fruition again, that we can be more exact on how that gets built, where it gets placed, and that. So what you have in your packet is a draft, very draft. I want to point that out, that it's a draft for discussion with some specifics on construction or the city's requirements on how we execute getting a solar array built. This document was actually authored by our city attorney as well as some council members with some input from others. Like I said, it's only a draft. The plan is to work through this draft and then bring it back to the planning commission so it gets adopted by them, and at which time, preferably about August, we bring it back to y'all for approval. I think that gives us enough time that if we need to workshop or do anything like that or pass through a couple of drafts there, we can get that process. We can go through and kind of highlight some of the key points that I kind of noted. In fact, the conditional use permits would allow it like within an industrial or mining area or other areas as presented by the Planning Commission. A lot of detail in this, a lot of detail, the devil's in the detail, but in particular, one of the things that we didn't do this last time is ask for glare analysis. That since you're going to be in an open field, absorbing sun, that's the intent of it. Will there be any adverse effects on surrounding properties? Also, security issues are things to look at, and then minimum and maximum sizes. This is actually for those in the area of a 1 million megawatt system, looking at anywhere from 5 to 10 acres at a time. this even, what I've also noticed too, was it not only was for the construction, but actually for the decommissioning, which is pretty important. One of the other things, and I'm trying not to get off on topic here, is some of these areas that we note is that we don't have particular zoning areas that have those details. We're real good at residential, we're real good at commercial, we're not so good at industrial, institutional. And that leads into a segue, which will be later on in the topic of our comprehensive growth plan with land use, where we'll have some more definition of that coming up. Is that open for questions, comments, suggestions?
I've got comments, but I'll give them to the
That'll
legal
be
counsel
perfect.
afterwards.
And then we'll, like I said, the intention is to incorporate everybody's comments. If you feel the free need to email, we'll bring those in, and then we'll bring in and present them to the planning commission. As long as, if there's no hiccups, we'll have it probably by the August planning commission.
I just want to be clear on this too.
Yes, sir?
Thank you. Our community is not anti-solar at all.
No.
We are fully, as far as I'm concerned, we're fully embracive of all sorts of energy. However, when an energy resource only works 24% of the time, people in Saline County tend to work more than a full work week.
Agreed.
And for us to rely on energy source such as part-time help is just simply not acceptable, especially when it displaces homeowners and disrupts our community's standard of living. So I feel very strongly about this ordinance, and I think it's sad, in fact, that one snuck by us, if you would, and I believe that we must ensure a community standard to preserve the quality of life that our citizens deserve in this area. A small solar array that's not even powering the school, but providing an offset somewhere else is simply the city of Bryant doing with a visual pollution situation to benefit shareholders of an investor-owned utility, and it's simply not right for our citizens to have to endure that. And that's Rob Rodell speaking, not Rob Rodell, the utility guy, but I'm adamant about that too.
I mean, as far as that, as technology changes, there are times that obviously do slip through. I mean, one that I would say is part of the success stories that you guys initiated was when we started looking at crypto mining. We jumped ahead of that. We just didn't catch it on this one, but there'll be other future technologies that we need to look at.
I've watched this evolve for 24 years. The cost has come down, but unfortunately it's still taxpayer subsidized to the extent that it's simply not sustainable. Still, now it could evolve over time, and it probably will, and I hope it does for my grandchildren's sake. However, the current technology is simply still not biodegradable. It's a toxic waste when it outdoes its lifetime. And we're importing technology from less than U.S. friendly countries to power these alleged power units that once again only provide power 24% of the time.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there anything coming through DRC, any other solar fields on the horizon?
None that we're aware of. So I'm sure Councilman.
It's going to take a while for us to work through this.
Yeah, I would say that if something should come up, we would obviously be on to put a hold on it until we get this authored and adopted into our code of ordinances. So.
I want to be clear, that's Rob Rodell speaking,
That's
period.
That's
Very clear.
Ted Taylor has his own view, and probably not out of line with yours.
You're not the tool man, Taylor, are you?
No, I'm not.
Okay, good.
So that timeline is acceptable. Our goal will be to have this ready by the August council meeting.
Oh, with that said, I'll let Colton to speak on the conditional use permit.
One question.
Oh, sorry.
We kind of mentioned crypto mining, and I know that we passed an ordinance, I guess it was 2 years ago. Would it behoove us to maybe look at that as part of this process? What planning commission go through that and make sure that that's kind of
I
what,
think we put a, I'm not quite sure the term is moratorium, but we prevented those from being.
so that way we can maybe look through it and make sure that that's sufficient for what the intention is while we're looking at those things.
Yeah,
Might as
good
well.
idea.
Any other, if there's any other things else that we bring our attention, we'd be happy to look at.
So I know with the topic of conditional use permits, we were looking at possibly putting in a little bit more stringent requirements on some of the notification processes for that. Currently, for the city of Bryant, they've got to put up signs on where it butts roadway frontage, and then also advertise in the sling courier at least 15 days ahead of the public hearing at which that conditional use permit is held or heard. The sheet I just passed out are some of the public notice requirements for conditional use permits or special use permits for other nearby cities in central Arkansas, including Benton, Cabot, Conway, and North Little Rock. As you can see, a lot of them have pretty much the exact same requirements as us. 3 of them do have a little bit more stringent requirements as far as they also require notification of all adjacent landowners or landowners within 200 feet, which it follows in line with our rezoning ordinance and having to do this, send out the certified letters to everybody within 300 feet. Some of these get into a little bit more specifics on that, as you can kind of read in that 4th column over there. But that's something we're talking about looking at as well, and hopefully during the same kind of process going through this for the solar stuff, looking at conditional use requirements and what we can change up in our code there. Something else as well is we also need to look at some of the other sections of our zoning code that have to be changed according to law for the new acts that have been passed recently, the last session. So, and I know part of that is accessory dwelling units have conditional use permit for that. That's actually not required anymore. We can't require a conditional use permit for those. So we're gonna have to take out that section of our code and then also put in the new verbiage that's was passed by law. So, and I was hoping to have all that kind of meshed together, and then we'll have just one ordinance to amend all of our comprehensive zoning ordinance.
Any questions?
I have a question. So on this subject that's kind of brought all this to light, where were the signs located that were they, I mean, I was told they were on Zuber Road. Is that where the notification signs were?
Yes, yeah, they were along Zuber Road for the stretch of the project.
But none on North Lake?
No, none on North Lake, just on Zuber.
But the newspaper notification lists a North Lake address, but we didn't put a sign on North Lake.
Yeah, so I think they listed that address because that's the address of the school. That's where it's addressed off of. The reason they just put the signs on Zuber was because that was the map that we got for the project itself. That was the street that abutted the project area for the map. It was Zuber Road.
So this particular resident that really adjoins it doesn't travel down Zuber Road, comes down the other road and gets off. I mean, I just think we need to do a better job of notifying residents of something that's going to impact them so significantly.
And that's what we were looking at. I mean, this is the kind of the location of that property was pretty unique as far as the
Yes.
subdivision was below it, and where the road's located for the school, no one would pass the school at all on either side if they lived in that subdivision, whether they were going east or west. So that's what we were looking at, possibly doing the letters to nearby property owners and sending out like some kind of adjacency notice similar to the public hearing requirement for rezonings as well.
Yeah, that's the goal of this, is to correct.
To do a better job.
That's right. To
That way-
make sure it's, any conditional use, the property owners around that conditional use will be notified.
That's correct.
My turn?
Yes, sir.
All right. I don't have a question for you. I just want to put, if you could, Mr. Klaus, can we put the legal notice up there? I was okay with putting that up, right?
Yes.
Okay.
yes.
This is a legal notice. You can blow it up down there. It's the two on the right,
those
underneath
just-
classifieds. I don't know if y'all get it where you get where we can see it or not. I'm gonna have to pull it up in my pictures. The second one down is Bryant's. And you'll have to excuse me. I should have pulled it up.
It's okay, take your time.
All right. Says a notice of public hearing. A public hearing will be held on Monday, January 13th, 2025 at 6 p.m. at the Bryant City Office Complex, 210 Southwest. I don't need to go through all that. You know where we are. For the purpose of public comment on a conditional use request at the site of 8665 and 5415 North Lake Road, Alexander. A legal description of this property can be attained by contacting the Bryant Department of Community Development. And what I was hoping for and have been emailing all of our staff and the planning commission about was if we could go to the one that Benton's got up there and ask our planning commission to be more transparent about what exactly is happening.
It's right above the Bryant one.
And following along with what every mayor that's run here for the past 12 years has said, we want more transparency, and we're seeking more transparency. And every mayor does a little bit better. And this one's gone leaks and pages and everything beyond what they've done in the past. We've got Facebook posts, we've got newsletters, we've got going out and just emails, notifying me, and I appreciate it.
Sir.
I just want to see us, the notice for the Benton on the same day, this notice is hereby giving that a hearing will be held by the Planning Commission, City of Benton, 7th day of January, at the Benton City Hall, for the petition of Tim Fulks for variance approval for reduction of the side setback lines on the following lands, and then it gives the legal description. I won't go through that, but it gives every bit of it, lot, phase, Benton, Sling County. And then it says, please contact Hope Consulting, who's in charge of the project, and gives his phone number with any questions. And if we're gonna do this, I would just like to encourage them to, let's step it up and get that out there, because it's somewhere in here. This had said commercial solar power plant. Somebody might have seen it, I don't know, on December 4th, on a Sunday, in the back legal notices of the 3500 circulation Saline Courier, but that's the law in the state of Arkansas. That's how that notification goes out. But we've been after this for years, and I really want to see us do that.
Yeah, and I think part of that is the template that we've had for the public hearing notices has been the same since I started here.
Sure.
So, but that's definitely something we could change without even having to take it to the planning commission. We could have just the verbiage on that changed up to however.
I know it's been the same.
However many more details we want to add to it, we can do that.
Yeah.
For sure.
But, I mean, just the legal description and what's actually going in there. Because maybe somebody would have seen it before I finally found out about it, just by calling, because I had a property, almost a property owner. They wanted that land until we found out there weren't going to be any trees back there. Can I show the permit? All right, please, sir. This you'll be able to read, I hope. This is the permit, the conditional use permit that came with that. So you'll notice it's for the solar field, and the zoning is R2. And would you scroll down to the next bottom line, please? All right, so the gentleman is requesting, you'll have to pull it up back here. But anyways, he's requesting for it to be rezoned to a commercial property, which you can't do with that conditional use permit. But under the R2 and conditional use, it does allow a public utility to be built on that land. And so
conditional use, nobody gets notified, you just saw that. And so we're winding up with a commercial solar power plant that nobody's notified of, because nobody drives down Zuber Road. And, that's where we are. And so all these people that are in, the homes are all to the east and south of it have got something that's going to value their property, because we've got acres and acres and acres of mature hardwood growth and pine trees that are simply going to disappear. And nothing can be planted there that grows over 20 feet high because of the blocking the sun into the solar panels. We got they're going to put some hedges in there. I don't know what they decided on, but anyway, they're going to be evergreen, and eventually they'll cover it up. But the fact that, nobody got notified is what gets me, that we've got a solar power plant going there. So I enthusiastically endorse that we changing this to requiring notifications on that. And I'd say that's it.
Thank you, Butch. Thank you.
I have another question. When we do bids, is there a section on our webpage for legal notices that, like, whether we're sending out for a bid requirement or something like this, where we post it on our website?
So I think we can do that, or we can have it posted.
So currently, we only post the bids on our website, but we can add a page.
I mean, we might as well use our own resources to the best of our ability.
Yeah, can we add it to
the
one of our social media pages? Just maybe add one for Bryant AR planning and development, and post things like that so people can, because Facebook gets so much more. And,
Well, according to the report that Mr. Fournier just gave us a few minutes ago, social media is the up-and-coming notification.
I just read what they.
That's what they said.
Just saying.
I'm done.
No, thank you all. I think it didn't go like we all wanted it to. We're correcting the mistakes. We're changing our process to do a better job. But I will say that what did work is elected officials responding to residents and coming to a solution that it was ultimately the requirements that were put on it ended up commercial requirements, right? That's not the way we would have liked it to go on, but where we ended up, I think, was best case scenario. And the changes we're making now, we will avoid that in the future.
Once again, I want to be very clear. This is a community standard, not a prohibition from anything. It's
Agreed.
very similar to our single-family residence versus multifamily residence standard that we established. So it is not biased or discriminatory against any form of energy. Just to be clear on that. This is a community standard.
Well, I personally appreciated everybody working together, including the school district and the
We thank them.
and the builder
A good neighbor.
and the residents and all of you and commission members, that everybody kind of came together to come up with a solution.
The other thing I had is they were first allowed a residential setback because it was residential property to residential property, but that's a commercial power plant.
Right.
And if you're going to put a project on there as commercial, you need commercial. We need to do something about that because they did what's in the book.
But I'm not 100% sure they had all the information when it went to planning at that point, did they? They didn't have a full site plan, did they?
Yeah, it was close.
Pretty close.
Yes. The first one, yeah, the other pictures in March and stuff, they began to change and show where there's actually going.
But I think all these changes are excellent for the community, the right way to go.
I love this.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you for tolerating me for 2 months of
Any other planning discussion?
What do you think, Colton? Having fun?
Yeah.
All right, good.
Good feedback.
Very good.
We appreciate you.
Appreciate y'all.
Very much.
Got a good team. All right, Philip wanted to update us, major project, the network switches, and how we're doing there.
Yeah, just wanted to take just a minute and update y'all since I know you voted on it previously. And we have received all of the switches from Alliant, from Scott Cook. So they are all scattered around my office, making much of a mess. And I'll hopefully have it all cleaned up soon as we start installing them. We've managed to install some here at City Hall and started at Public Works and Animal Control with plans to slowly put them out in other sites. July 13th is when we're hoping to get public safety in, which is our next large stack. And at that point, all of the major improvements will have been done. And we should start seeing major upgrades to our internet speeds and connectivity and stuff. From there, it'll be getting out to all of our smaller satellite sites that may be just me with a screwdriver and a switch going out there hand installing it. But we're going to kind of take that a little bit in turn. The plan has changed from when it was originally voted on, but nothing major. The plan originally was that Scott Cook was going to be doing a lot of the pre-programming and then send them to me to install in the racks. That has switched. He just sent us the hardware, and so Pinnacle IT and I are doing all of the pre-programming and setup. Which is a little better because it gives us a little bit more control in-house for how we want things to set up. We know how everything works, and we're able to play around with it a little more. Plus, Pinnacle IT has a lot better head for it than I do, so I would have been up a creek without paddle without their help. So we're managed to do a lot better. I just wanted to kind of give you all a quick update on that and see if y'all had any questions about that project.
Philip, you're doing a great job. Thanks for
Thank
working
you.
so hard in this transition. All right. Oh, yes, 8. And we're getting ordinance.
All along the lines of rezoning. This is an ordinance to amending the comprehensive ordinance of the city of Bryant for a certain property from RE to C2 along Spring Hill Road. We can pull it up if you guys want to look about it in particular.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Did Ms. Hopper get her fence?
We talked to the builder today that he made sure that they have a fence before they do any more construction there.
And they're staying off of her road.
Yes.
It's just
Good
going in the
question.
road.
Thank you.
I believe the mayor heard from her.
Yes, she's great. Any questions about this? This was approved by the planning commission.
No, that was my question.
Good.
All right.
Fence for Mrs. Harper.
Her baby's nearby
That
her
probably
body.
was promised a few years ago. It's a little behind.
A little behind.
All right. Been a while since we did an ordinance.
Do you need first, second, and third?
Sure.
Motion to suspend the rules and pass with first, second, and third by title only.
All right, I've got a motion. Suspend the rules. Read first, second, third reading by title only. Let's have a second.
Second it.
All right, all those in favor? Motion passes. All right, this is an ordinance 2025-4, amending the comprehensive zoning ordinance of the city of Bryant to rezone certain property from RE to C2. Have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
I got a motion?
Second.
Second. All right, roll call vote.
Odell,
Yes.
Mosley,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Higginbotham,
Yes.
Burgess is absent. Meyer,
Yes.
Permenter,
Yes.
O'Rourke.
Yes.
Motion passes. I have a motion to adopt an emergency clause.
So who's that drives up?
We need that?
If they want to keep construction, I mean, before they get CO, it's got to be rezoned.
Yes, sir. Got a motion to adopt the emergency clause?
Doesn't look like it's on it, so there'll need to be a motion to add an emergency clause, and then,
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to add the emergency clause to this ordinance.
All right, we got a motion to add the emergency clause.
I'll second that.
Second. Butch, all in favor? Motion passes.
Mr. Mayor, I make a move that we approve the emergency
Oh,
clause.
thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, motion second to approve emergency clause. All in favor? Or do we need a roll call vote on that, sir? No. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
We do need the roll call on the emergency clause itself.
Oh, sorry.
Am I not right?
But
Well,
let's do a roll call vote on the emergency clause adoption.
Do I know?
Mosley?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Higginbotham?
Yes.
O'Rourke?
Yes.
Burgess is absent. Rodell?
Yes.
Permenter?
Yes.
Meyer?
Yes.
Thank you.
Just, you know, that should be,
All right, we got a sidewalk waiver.
we need to correct this, sir,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Go ahead, Mr. Martin.
Ordinance that we just voted on the ordinance itself, it says RM to C2. On the,
Yeah.
and it's RE to
It is
C2.
RE.
that is just a clerical error, so it can
Be
be
adjusted.
Thank
adjusted
you.
without any kind of vote.
Thank you. Good catch. All right, sidewalk waiver.
This particular sidewalk's on Elm Estate subdivision, which is south of the high school, 203 Southwest 4th Street. The Public Works Department, as well as the Streets Department and the Stormwater Department, has looked and determined that the installation of sidewalk, as well as the half-street improvements, have actually made things worse for drainage along there. There is a sidewalk on the north side that is already used by the school, and then there are no other sidewalks in this neighborhood continuing along Northwest 4th Street. It was recommended by Planning Commission as a waiver.
Motion to approve.
Got a motion to approve
Second.
and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, now,
We have our grants writer extraordinaire to present for the next 5 items.
Patches. I mean, Rebecca.
Insulting.
Okay, the first resolution is to apply for the Arkansas Community Assistance Grant. This is through the Arkansas Economic Development Commission, and it's for community and economic development projects. For this project, we would like to apply to redo the field lights for the lacrosse and 2 softball fields at Alcoa Park. It is an 80-20 grant, so the total is $530,000, so our 20% would be $106,000.
Bless you.
Pardon me.
Questions? Have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Got a motion?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes.
Okay, the next one is also the same grant. It's the Arkansas Community Assistance Grant. We would like to do another, or apply for another project. It is the lights at Bishop Park. We have applied for this. We did apply for it last year with the RDOT TAP grant, and we didn't receive it. We applied earlier this year for the RDOT TAP grant, and we are still waiting to hear back, but it sounds like this project fits this grant a lot better. So we'd like to go ahead and apply for this. It's the same price as last time. It is an 80-20 grant. Our 20% would be $59,516.
Questions?
Get it done.
Get it done. Is that a motion to approve? Is that a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
We got a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes.
I'll sleep better tonight.
There we go.
Oh, my gosh.
The next resolution is for the Metro Plan STBG grant. We would like to apply for Bryant Parkway Trail construction. We are fully funded as of right now for all of the design, and we're about at 60% design. So this would just be for the construction and construction management and inspection. It is a $2.2 million project. This is an 80/20 grant, so our portion would be $440,000.
This is,
But this is the one that goes from Raymar Road over I-30 and connects with Highway 5.
connects over the overpass.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Second?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
You're losing them, Chris.
Let's go. 13.
Hurry in. The next one is also for the Metro Plan SPG grant. We would also just like to do another project for this. This is for the Hilldale Midland Connector Trail. We're currently at about 30% design on this project, and we would like to apply for cost overrun for the design process and the right-of-way acquisition costs. So the total is $224,000. Again, this is an 80/20 grant, so our portion would be $44,800.
Motion approved. Second.
Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
And then my last one, this is the COPS hiring program. It's through the Department of Justice. This grant is for funding additional full-time law enforcement positions. So we are requesting to hire 4 additional police officers. The period of performance is for 5 years, so that allows us time to recruit and hire. The grant funding is for 3 years with a commitment that we retain the position for an additional year after those 3 years are over. So we are requesting the max grant amount for the number of officers, which is $500,000, and this will be their salary and fringe benefits. So our portion ends up being about 47%. And remember that this is for 3 years. Our portion is $440,418.76.
Is that per year or total for the?
That would be total for the 3 years. And that also includes a 3% performance increase for years 2 and 3.
Motion to approve.
Run the motion.
Second.
And a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you, Rebecca.
I'm going to give a little bit of a brief introduction. I believe there's a PowerPoint presentation that's coming up. So to give a little background, the city uses a comprehensive growth plan and land use that was, I think, done back in either between 2010 and 2012. It's good to get those updated. I mean, within a short time of me being back, I noticed that there were several times that the land use didn't quite match up with our, strategic planning in some of our areas. So it's always good to come back and check those. And so we decided, hey, you really need to do those on a 10-year cycle anyway. All great master plans, I call, are 20 years, but they're 10-year plans. And we're going to go and look out even further. We're going to look to like essentially 2050 with this particular plan. So basically the process is that we put out a request for qualification. I think we received submittals in April 25th. We had a selection committee May 7th, and then we had 2 competing firms come and present to Planning Commission June 9th, with the Planning Commission recommending Crafton Tull. They're here. We've got Dave, Julie, and then we have Matt that's online. And they're going to give a presentation. And basically our ask here is that we're not asking for anything other than an endorsement to continue with this group to negotiate a contract, to begin work on this very, very important plan. So with that, I'll turn it over to Julie. Bill, you might need the presentation.
There was something I missed. We should have permissions now.
Is Matt running this one? Do you all have the PDF?
It's in the agenda. Oh, then that's what else I'm missing.
Hang on, Matt.
Thanks,
Ted.
Ted. That's my bad, I apologize.
No worries.
Yes.
While he's getting that pulled up, I'll just go ahead and make that just your item number 16.
That's what's attached to the agenda.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Sorry for the delay.
No worries.
It'll be a quick presentation. We can tap dance real quick. That's all. Entertain you. There we go.
There we go.
All right. I think we're ready to go. And my name is Dave Roberts. This is Julie Kelso. We're both planners at Craft and Toll. I'll show you our team. There we go. So Craft and Toll has 11 offices in 3 different states. And the 2 of us, along with a bunch of other folks, are up in the Little Rock office. We're just right up the road from you. And you can see what we offer as far as transportation, infrastructure, parks, recreation. Also on our team for the comprehensive plan is Land Use USA, Sharon. And Sharon will do the financial side of the comprehensive plan. So she does fiscal analysis, feasibility studies as we project out your growth, what that means to your community financially. And then also on our team is DPZ, and they're in Oregon. And Matt Lambert is on the line to answer any questions that might come up after the presentation. And you can see his team there. And the reason they're important to our team is we've worked with them on quite a few comp plans, but they also literally wrote the book on smart growth, as well as livable communities. So they are experts, not only in the United States, but abroad. So they're a very valuable part of our team. But, you know, where are you today? And as you're looking forward for growth, what does it mean to your citizens? We understand a little bit about your community. We're going to learn a lot more should we be chosen to do this. But we know that you're a growing community of 22,000 approximately, lots of young families. You value your parks, your schools. We've even worked on some of those projects. Back when your mayor used to be parks director, I worked on Mills Park Inclusive Playground. We've also done the engineering for Bryant High School. So our firm does know your community from certain projects.
One of the most important things about this project is going to be public engagement, community engagement. That's a very important element on every project that we do. These are not our plans, they're your plans. And we depend on that community engagement to really guide us throughout the planning process. And so we'll bring a variety of different types of public engagement opportunities. You know, some of those in person might be traditional community meetings or workshops over houses. They may be pop-ups. We like to be embedded in the community, going to your festivals and events, going to people where they are already. We find that way we can broaden our horizon of the folks that we're getting feedback from. So it's not just the folks that might tend to regularly show up and stay really plugged in and engaged with what's happening in the community. In addition to online or to in-person engagement is also the online or digital component. That has been a very growing way for receiving public feedback over the past 10 years, but specifically in the last 5 years. It's gotten to be a very, very important part of every planning project. So whether those are online surveys or Facebook Lives or, you know, just communicating through social media, that's been discussed this evening. But having that digital platform available with interactive maps and ways that people can provide their input that way, we can ensure that we're reaching a broader demographic. So we have some folks that prefer the one-on-one, the in-person engagement. We have others who are very busy and they just want to engage online. So we will be able to use a variety of those types of strategies. And I think the first thing that we will do in this is really focus in on what that public engagement plan looks like and how we can utilize the tools in the toolbox to assist Bryant getting, the type of engagement that you're interested in seeing. In terms of jurisdictional coordination, we've worked on several large projects. I'll just give you a couple of them where we've had to deal with multiple different jurisdictions and kind of coordinating between agencies. One of them is Maumelle Pinnacles Conservation Area. That's a large plan, about 55,000 acres out in western Pulaski County, where we're working with 4 different state agencies, Central Arkansas Water, City, County, Metroplan. All these folks are at the table moving forward to find a shared vision for that area, as well as the Central Arkansas Regional Greenways Plan, which you all are part of that. It's a 4-county region. We had about 19 communities, 4 counties, coordinating those regional routes for active transportation. We just wanted to share with you a couple of example projects that we think could be applicable here. One of those is a series of 3 plans that we did for the city of Searcy. We just wrapped those up last year, and that had a very large public engagement component. We had multiple different types of engagement. It was a very successful project. The city was a huge part of that. It was a very much a partnership, a team effort, and the city was very committed to having that transparent process and, again, really focusing on that community engagement. So while we had an outstanding turnout for our public events, for our in-person events, we also had a very large component of online engagement as well. Those projects, once those were completed, we worked with the city to assist them in their bond efforts, and they were successful in securing about $110 million in bonds, as well as a federal grant that we helped them secure as well. So, that's a relationship. It's a long-term relationship. It's one of those that we really value and try to work with the community once the comprehensive plan is complete to help you get into the implementation stage of that, which is always difficult, but whenever you build that momentum with a great public engagement process, then, the time to strike while the iron's hot, right? Folks have been engaging and are ready to see those, that kind of come to life.
Hey, Julie, that plan also indicated planted here from our local APA chapter.
Yeah, from our Arkansas APA chapter. I was going to hit on that here in just a little bit. Another community that we've been very involved with over the years has been the city of Maumelle, also a community about the same size as you all. That relationship started in about 2012, whenever we were working on their comprehensive plan, and over the years we've developed multiple different specific element plans down to facility designs, park designs, and implementation and construction in conjunction with our engineers and landscape architects in the firm. We have worked with DPZ on multiple projects. This is one of them that we wanted to discuss with you all tonight. It's Pine Bluff, and while Pine Bluff has a different set of issues than the city of Bryant, this is a plan that was really pulling together all of the infrastructure, environmental, stormwater components, all those things that impact the city, how the city is going to grow or redevelop, and really tie all that into the growth and development strategies for the community. Central to that is the charrette process. This is a process that DPZ pioneered, really. The charrette is the central piece, probably one of the biggest pushes in public engagement. It is where the project team is on the ground, housed in Bryant for approximately 7 days. And it's a series of workshops, events, one-on-one, targeted groups, but also just general public outreach. And so it gives the opportunity for both formal public engagement events as well as drop-in times where folks can stop in on their lunch hour, after work, or whatever, and see what's happening. These are where plans and strategies are being developed on the fly in a studio environment where we're gathering the public engagement and then turning around with strategies and solutions and testing those in real time with the community. One example of that DPZ has recently completed in Arkansas, and excuse me for Matt, excuse me if I'm saying any of your sheets, your slides wrong on your projects, but we're going to cover for Matt tonight since he's up in Portland. But one of those projects is for The city of Bentonville, which is a land use plan, they are currently working through the zoning code now, roll right into that, but it also had a very large public engagement process, a public engagement dashboard, online presence, all of those things. And so they worked on this plan with Sharon Woods, and she produced the housing market analysis and supply and demand. So looking at and understanding that supply and demand and how that's going to impact growth and development, but also being able to help assist with that narrative and communicating that with the community and what those things mean from a fiscal perspective.
And by the way, that was a second engagement plan of the year. There were two given this past year, and both are one.
That rolls straight into a project that we're currently working with DPZ on, which is the Northwest Arkansas Growth Strategy. So this is a very large, comprehensive growth strategy between 2 counties, 31 communities, and looking at how growth is going to look over the next 25 years in the region, how issues such as land use, housing, environment, infrastructure, transportation, and market assessment work together regionally, what that looks like from a regional perspective in terms of growth, and also how one community's decisions can impact growth in their neighbor communities. So that's one that's currently ongoing that we are teamed with DPZ on. They are the prime on that project.
So when it comes to your comp plan, this is the approach that we are proposing. We broke it into 4 different phases. The first phase being really understanding and aligning with your values. So just getting the information we need, not only the demographics, but what makes your community. We can do some kind of kickoff tours, some stakeholder interviews, just to gather that data, run analyses on what we're seeing. The second phase is engagement and illustrate. That has that multi-day charrette that Julie described, that week-long, where there are graphics being produced and feedback that's live. There's also some steering committee meetings, and you'll see 2 different surveys that go out in that phase. And then the third phase is where we start to really put the proposals together, looking at solutions, produce that draft plan, have those steering committees to bounce it off of them, and then take it to the public. And that fourth phase is something that we've shown separately, and we'll, of course, look at that in the proposal as far as financially, how you want to tackle that. Typically, what we see with DPZ is code revisions and code development happen after land use plans. So there's a good chance you'll need at least parts or pieces of that fourth phase. And so that's where we're showing all those phases in about an 18-month deliverable. If that fourth phase is less, it could be 15, 16 months. So that's where that falls. So our last slide is just our excitement to be able to work with you all. We've done similar projects in similar committees across the region. DPZ has done similar projects across the country. We've worked together. We didn't just form this team just for this. We've done things together before. And as you've heard, public engagement is one of our strong suits. So we're really excited to be able to engage your community, make sure it's a transparent process, make sure people have a buy-in and they have a way to give their voice, whether it's in person, it's digitally. There's lots of different tools in the toolbox. And we know you have plans that have been done. We've been hearing about them tonight. We also know there's a parks plan. There's lots of different plans. This is how you bring all those plans together, put them, in a neat package that the community understands and buys in, and then gives you that growth moving forward. So, thank you. We are available for any questions, and Matt is online if there's anything.
Questions? I'm very excited about this, and I just want you all to know this will be the priority for the staff, and we're going to be asking you to do a lot of heavy lifting in this community outreach. That our goal is so much community buy-in that the people of Bryant say, this is our plan, this is a future we're excited about, and then as we go to them and ask them how we're going to make it happen, that they believe, they see, and they're excited that they are the ones that help mold this and shape this for our future. I think this is, in my opinion, a turning point for our community where when we unfold this and we start to execute this, Bryant moves to being proactive, right? That we are no longer just reacting to challenges, that with all of the hard work we've done in the past and now this, we've got a clear vision forward that our community's excited about, and then we're all moving in that direction. So it's perfect timing, and couldn't be more excited about partnering with Crafton & Toll for this.
What do you need from us, Mr. Mayor?
I just need you to approve that we allow us to enter into contract negotiation with them, and then that contract would come back to you for final.
I make a motion to approve.
All right, we got a motion to approve? Second. All right. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you.
When do we hit the ground running?
We're under contract.
They're gonna appreciate that.
We've got our first meeting scheduled for July 9th.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we've got a resolution that was added, number 16. It's in,
You all approved this last month. Just understood that the bank did not want just the minutes from the city council meeting. They wanted something more formal to finalize this. So drew up a resolution. I'm just asking you to approve this resolution of something you've already approved.
Make the motion.
got a motion?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you for that. All right, council comments.
I have one. The funding committee is working hard. The challenge has been difficult, but they're working their way through it. It's just taking time, so bear with us. We have a lot of great people in there.
Yeah. And on that, one of the things that I'm going to talk to the committee about is, since we're about to start a major community engagement campaign, that I'm hoping to use this campaign as the funding committee's arm of community engagement. Before we enact anything, we'll be able to really get a pulse of how the community is responding to it.
And community engagement talked last, week or week, anyway, board meetings probably won't start till like September. So timing could be
The
good.
timing's working out very well. Yeah, I agree with that. So, sorry to interrupt.
No, it's good.
Comments. Any others?
I'm going to say, I'm not good at this, but I love the community of Bryant. I think we have a strong community. I've been here 14 years and I've never once felt unsafe going outside my home. And I have daughters that play outside, and I think it goes without saying that our police and law enforcement do such a great job. It's been tough recently, but I think we shouldn't take them for granted. And I still go outside every day and feel safe to walk up and down the street, thanks to our police. So I think that needed to be said. So thank you to Chief Min and his team.
And I think the fire department does a wonderful job too. I don't want Brandon to feel left out. We love you too.
Yeah, we do.
Don't forget. Some people really love it. We love everybody.
There we go.
Kumbaya. Let me get my guitar out. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make the motion.
All right, motion. Second. All right, thank you, everybody.